Welcome back, everybody, to the Frozen Forum podcast. This is episode 20, the big 2-0. Who would have thought we made it this far? Most podcasts end by episode 8. But here we are, Frozen Forum, bringing it back to you. And we have some real good news for you this week. But first of all, Alex, how you doing?
I'm good, Nathan. Is that a real stat? Eight episodes is usually where they finish?
That is a real stat. After 8
Wow.
episodes, most podcasts are done.
Look at that. We've committed to do this for at least a year because we've paid for all of these subscriptions for these accounts to make it easier for us. But no, it's been a lot of fun. And hey, we really appreciated all of the interaction that we got on the last podcast. Shout out to the Columbus Blue Jackets fans who actually think their team has been good sometime in their history because we had some lively debates with them on Twitter. And for the rest of you that watched, we appreciate your support. But hey, we're coming at you here. We're recording this on the 29th. This will come out still on Thursday, which means that we'll have played Vegas by the time that this episode comes out. So it's not a full weekly thing, and that's just because, it's the end of the year and things are happening, things are changing. This is the last time you'll see this room in this podcast. It's probably the last time for a while that you're going to see that room over there behind Nathan.
Yep. I don't know what the room will look like exactly. For those of you that have been watching up to this point, you know that I am moving to France in a few days. Yeah, we'll see what the views are over there. Maybe you'll see the Eiffel Tower behind me. No promises though. We'll see. Not even in the same city.
That'd be pretty funny. But the CN Tower. Man, I'm in Toronto too long. I think about one tower, not the other. The Eiffel Tower. I don't think we'll be moving to that part of France that you're going to be in. But with that, what do you want to do first? Do you want to do our Frozen Forum Flash? Do you want to do a 3 stars of the week?
Let's go with the Flash. First.
Let's go with the Flash. All right. Let's go. Episode number 20. Right here, 10 questions for you, Nathan DaCosta. 5 about the Habs, 5 about the rest of the league. Questions start now. Obviously, the big question that we asked in last week's podcast is even more applicable today. Should we trade Jake Evans, who is currently on a 5-game goal streak, or should we extend him sometime during the season?
Dude, I know I said last week you should get rid of him, but it's looking like a Lehkonen situation again. I mean, he has been playing phenomenally. We've had all of our players have, over the past few games, they look like they have been playing how we expected them to be playing this whole season. Like Kirby Dach, for example, which gives players like Jake Evans a little bit more space. I know they're not on the same line, but he's getting more play time. He's obviously proved himself. I want to keep him now. I know it's only been a week, but I want to keep him now.
Maybe we'll flip-flop on this every week. We'll go to question number 2, though. What is the best part about beating the 2 teams in Florida? Is it A, just the fact that we win 2 games, or B, seeing Matthew Tkachuk and Nikita Kucherov lose?
I know what you want to hear, but I'm going to say the fact that we get 2 wins. Those 2 wins are massive for us, especially against the 2 Florida teams, the reigning Stanley Cup champs, the team that beat us in the Stanley Cup finals. Huge confidence boost that we are going to need heading into January's schedule, because for you Habs fans that don't know what's coming up, we have a lot of tough teams, like the top 10 teams for the entire month of January. So we need that confidence boost.
We beat 2 of the top 10 teams, right? So doesn't that make us a top 10 team? Anyways, we could talk about that later in the podcast. Question number 3 for you. How much better is the 6'5" Jakub Dobbs of the Czech Republic than unclaimed on waivers Caden Primo?
I think in one game, Jakub Dobbs has done more than Primo has done for us. Okay, well, that's a lie. But Jakub Dobbs, after that one game alone, I think has proved himself to be a better goalie than Caden Primo. It was the Stanley Cup champs. He got a shutout. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want to hear. Mind you, there were a few posts, but it's the reigning Stanley Cup champs, and we shut them out. We won 4-0. For any of you that actually bet out there, we were 3-1 underdogs, and we shut them out.
It's kind of crazy. And hey, as the goaltenders would tell you, hitting the post just means that they were playing the position right.
Exactly.
Question number 4. We talked earlier this season about net penalty kill percentage. We scored another shorthanded goal, making that net penalty kill percentage even better than it was. Have you changed your mind about that statistic?
I still have not. I don't think that it's super applicable. No, that's my answer. I stick with what I said earlier. I don't change my mind on it. But it was scored by Jake Evans, which relates to the first question. for keeping Jake Evans. But yeah, I absolutely do not change my stance on
We'll take it. We'll take it. And finally, question number 5, the last one about the Montreal Canadiens. We are now 10th last in the league. For those counting, that's third overall. How many weeks until we are in a playoff spot?
keep giving us these tough away games, and we'll see it in the next 3 weeks. Next 3 weeks, we will be back in a playoff spot. Were we ever in a playoff spot? Maybe like the first or second game, but we will be there within 3 weeks. We'll replay this clip for you. For all of you people in the comments calling us delusional Hab fans, we'll see you in 3 weeks.
I love to hear it. Question number 6. Should Mika Zibanejad get deported, as is being called for by a very small minority of Rangers fans?
He might have to be because, man, the Rangers downfall needs to be studied by all NHL teams. What is going on? Mika Zibanejad doing nothing. Artemi Panarin doing nothing. Igor Shesterkin stopping nothing. Yesterday, they had 13 shots on goal, and they lost 6-2 to the Tampa Bay Lightning. How in the world does that happen? To the highest ever paid goaltender in the NHL. Mika Zibanejad will be deported.
Heard it here first, everybody. In video format, at least, the people are tweeting it. Question number 7. What is your comment on the report that Luke Hughes wants out of New Jersey after his brother revealed to him that Santa Claus is not real?
You were serious for a minute there. Dude, I bet he saw, I don't know if you saw the Chiefs video after the Chiefs won this past week. Andy Reid came into the locker room as Santa Claus, and I bet you Luke Hughes probably thought that was Santa Claus, delivering the Chiefs another gift from the refs once again. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough that Jack broke that to him.
Alex Ovechkin, after being injured for 6 weeks with a broken leg, now has goals in back-to-back games, literally back-to-back actually, in terms of days as well. How many goals will Alex Ovechkin finish the year with, considering he's already at, I believe it is number 18?
18. And he needs 25 more to break the record. You know what? This guy isn't gonna stop. Are we just talking about the regular season here? Okay, just regular season. He's gonna end the season with 45 goals. If we're counting postseason, he's gonna run that number up to 55. I don't know what's going on with this Washington Capitals team, but they have everything going for them right now. They lost to the Red Wings. I think that's just going to be a little blip. They're fine. They looked so good tonight again. They could be a Stanley Cup contender this year. Just a super dark horse.
Putting him on the back and carrying him through, right? That's what exactly. Ovi does. Question number 9. Did the NHL take away Crosby's assist yesterday so that he could break Mario Lemieux's record at home in front of the Pittsburgh Penguins home crowd?
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. That was like, because I saw the post on Instagram of Sidney Crosby breaking Lemieux's record, and I was going to show my dad, and I realized they weren't there. And then Crosby gets an assist tonight on the 29th again, and then all the posts come again. Crosby breaks Lemieux record, and I'm like, oh, what happened here? And it turns out New York paid off the refs. They got rid of his assist, and that's what happened. We are not spreading misinformation.
I love the conspiracy theories we're getting over here on the podcast. Only true facts on this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. From my side of the house, I can't speak for Nathan.
Yeah.
Question number 10 for you. Despite all losing by the Sabres, the Red Wings, and the New York Rangers this season, all 3 teams are only 7 points out of a playoff spot. Do you think any 3 of those teams are going to make the playoffs?
No way. The Sabres... Okay, here's a hot take for you. If any of those teams are going to make the playoffs, it's going to be the Sabres.
That's crazy.
At the beginning of the year, the Sabres were in a playoff spot, and they were convincingly in a playoff spot. They went on obviously a horrible losing streak, but that's their low point. Like, the only direction they can go from there is up. And they've been on a winning streak before. We saw it at the beginning of the season. They have the potential to do it this season. We're not talking about past teams, because if it was past teams, I'd say the Rangers, but the Buffalo Sabres, out of those 3 teams, have the best chance.
They're on a 3-game winning streak. It's kind of crazy. Montreal's on a 2-game winning streak. Let's go into the rest of the podcast. Nathan, I know you watched the game yesterday. Shutting out the Florida Panthers. Stanley Cup winning team. A team that's looked pretty good this season, right? Up there second in the Atlantic Division. Tied with the Leafs in terms of points for first. We shut them out.
I know. We shut them out, and not starting Montembeault was a
First time in 10 games.
yeah, I know. I was surprised when I saw that, and I was like, Dobis is getting the start against the Stanley Cup champs. Like, what's going on here? But hey, he did what he needed to do.
He looks like a solid goaltender, eh?
Mm-hmm.
6'5", 200 and something pounds, but like he looks big in that net. I don't know how big Montembeault is.
But
I was looking at Jacob Dobbs. They were showing like a ice level camera view at one point, and he's like standing there by the refs, and the refs are doing one of these. How's it going? Yeah, are you enjoying your time? Yeah, oh, welcome to the NHL. Yeah, it's like this guy's kind of. I was like, damn, this guy's huge.
yeah, he's a big guy. He was taking up, yeah, exactly what you were saying. And that goes back to your point of why they were only hitting the post. He was covering everything so well because he's got that frame.
Look, I saw a tweet. I want to start incorporating this a little bit more into our podcast. Like I see some funny tweets every once in a while, and it makes the commentary a little bit better. Somebody posted yesterday, goes, "What a game for Jakob Dobbs today." I mean, I'm trying to keep my expectations realistic here, but if this kid can become a Dominic Hasek / Patrick Waugh / Martin Brodeur caliber goalie, that's still not that bad, right?
And this is why Habs fans get labeled as delusional.
Hey, I mean, look, I looked this up, Nathan. You want to hear something crazy? This kid is a year older than you.
That is nuts. And he's performing like an elite goaltender. Been one game. Performing
Been one
so
game.
far. Like an
Hey,
elite
I mean, he had a
goaltender.
great preseason too, which I don't think you can discount that, right? Montreal didn't want to call him up this season, right? They wanted to give him time in Laval to get conditioned, to get some more starts in, to get some more time playing, right? Obviously, Caden Primo played us out of a position, or played himself out of the position to be able to let the Habs do that, right? We've got a back-to-back that we just played. We've got a back-to-back next weekend. I think we have 3 back-to-backs in January, like all one weekend after another. You can't have Montembeault start those games. So we call Jakob Dobbs up. We send Caden Primo down. The interesting part about that, he's been up on the team since like last year, right? Like he's been on that team, and the reason they never sent him down is because he has to clear waivers. He has played so badly that despite the fact that so many teams in the NHL have goaltending issues, don't have good backup goaltenders, not a single team claimed him on waivers.
I mean, he's been that bad, and it took the Habs long enough to get rid of him. I mean, I understand they wanted to give him a chance, and I understand that from a team that is, we're still rebuilding. To be honest, when you're rebuilding, you let people prove themselves, and Primo was given multiple opportunities to prove himself, couldn't do it. Now Jakob Davis playing below, like what you were saying, getting him to develop a little bit there. Like I understand the thought process behind that, but also at the same time, since we're still rebuilding, let's bring him up, give him an opportunity, let him actually get experience in the real thing, and he proved what he needed to do.
He did indeed. It makes it very exciting. With that, I'd like to go into my 3 stars of the week, if you don't mind.
Yeah, yeah,
Because my first star is Jakob Dobbs.
me too.
Has to be given. I've been thinking about it a lot, and you know what? At the end of the day, it's not a goaltender that makes a win happen most of the time. Him getting a shutout didn't necessarily guarantee us that win, right? I mean, it was the 6 goals that we scored against the Florida Panthers. But look, first game, you obviously have jitters. You're playing in front of some family. He had his whole billet house, his billet family. He had his mom there in the crowd, and he shuts out the reigning Stanley Cup champions. Now, in front of half of a home crowd, I will say, we had a lot of Habs fans in that crowd, and we heard the Olays, which was great. But I wanted to give him the first star. My second star this week, Nathan DaCosta, is going to be Jake Evans. Scores 2 goals. More than that, though, fantastic on the penalty kill. The penalty kill today against the Tampa Bay Lightning, the 3rd best power play in the league, was 4-for-4 or something like that. Outstanding. Jake Evans is a huge part of that. Love to see it. My third and final star, I'm going to do something we've never done before. It's not one person. It is our entire second line. The second line is going to get grouped in as one. That line of Kirby Dach, Patrick Laine, Alex Newhook scores 2 goals, I believe it was, in yesterday's game. Scores a goal in today's game, both games played phenomenally, had great performances out of all three players. I can't single one out as being crazy, crazy good. Obviously, numero 77, Kirby Dach, he comes in and he scores 2 after only scoring 2 for the first half of the season, right? You could maybe put him up there, but he only scores those goals because the rest of the line is working. And so I want to put that line as third. What do you think about that?
I think that that's pretty solid. I agree with the whole line. I was gonna go Jakob Davis, Kirby Dach, Jake Evans. That was my top three, so I agree with that. I can agree with that swap, and I like the whole line there.
I like it, right? It adds a new dimension to our 3 stars. Like, honestly, the last 2 games, when you beat the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning, there have to be a lot of good things going on. And there were. Like, I don't have that much bad to say about Mike Matheson, for example. He's still responsible for the first goal that's got scored against us today. But at least it was only 1 out of the 2 games, And as for the rest of the team, I mean, Christian Dvorak, another guy that I like to harp on sometimes, he was okay. Obviously misses another shot when he's on a 2-on-1, but like, what can you do? He's not that guy. He just isn't that guy.
Did he have one today though?
No. He's good. Christian, come on. He has a score that says like.
I thought I saw his name in the score sheet. I'm gonna double check.
He did score a goal. Sorry. That was okay. Hey, hold up. Christian Dvorak gets a goal today. Okay. It is his 3rd of the season. He is in no way responsible for that goal. Caden Gooley shot the puck. Christian Dvorak was standing in front of the net. I think it took like a glance off of some part of him and went in the net. It was going in if it didn't hit him, right? The fact, like, I think it was like you watch the replay and you see part of his jersey move or something like that, and so it obviously hit him in some way, but it's not his goal. Like, that's all Caden Gooley.
I remember, I was at a family thing today, and I was just taking a look at my phone every few minutes, and I saw Caden Gooley goal, Christian Dvorak goal. So I thought we got 2, but it was really just the one. I see what you're talking about.
Yeah. It took them a period and a half to actually review it and make it Christian Dvorak's goal. That's actually why I guess I forgot about it, because it's halfway through the game that they were like, "Oh yeah, by the way, they fixed it." It's like, okay. But no, I mean, hey, look, that second line, this is what happens when you have 2 players who have been injured for a really long time starting the season together, right? Like, it's not going to be perfect to start off with. Like, they've just like, Kirby Dach has just gotten better and better and better and better and better. And I think there's so much more runway for him. When we talk about ceilings for players, Kirby Dach has a ceiling very, 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 very high, right? Patrick Laine, 5-on-5, has still not been fantastic, right? Hasn't been making those big plays, hasn't been making those whatevers. He looks slow, I won't lie. I think it's just the fact that he's 6'5" and he's got long ass legs and they just take a long time to move. I don't know, a friend of my family's used to say that taller people, it took longer for the neurons to get, for like the brain signals to get from your brain all the way down to your feet, so they were slower moving. So maybe that's all that's going on there.
That might be a correlation, or maybe he just had a few good Christmas dinners. We'll leave it at that.
Hey, he deserved it. Look, there was a lot of backlash against us for the comments that we made. We actually our post on Twitter, first time ever this has happened, is up now to 25,000 impressions. Columbus media, I don't know what you call them, because I guess it's like a newspaper thing, but they don't have newspapers anymore, and like whatever. One of these article writing places actually took our video and was like, wow, apparently Columbus has been bad for the last 10 years. And then in their comments, obviously they're trying to mock us, right? Because we said they've been bad for a decade. And then the comments were all a bunch of people going, wait, you weren't? Like, what did you do in those 10 years? Oh yeah, you won 1 round in the playoffs? Huh, that's crazy. And then some people went, the last 10 years, well, they've been around for 24, and that was the only playoff series that they made. So I guess in comparison with the first 14 years, the last 10 years have been great. Which, yeah, I mean, that's not how we define good here in Montreal, right? I mean, we'll have players that, like Carey Price, who are phenomenal players and probably make it to the Stanley Cup final, and probably won't have their numbers retired, right? Because, I mean, that's what in Montreal land, right? It's not good enough. You got to win.
Got to win. Not even got to win. I think you got to win more than one.
You gotta.
More
And
than one cup. More than one cup. Not one round. One.
let's be very clear, at Leafs fans everywhere. Um, when's the last time the Leafs won more than 2 rounds in the playoffs? Oh yeah, never. Huh. That's crazy. My
Yep.
favorite stat across all of hockey.
I think isn't it 3 rounds? They haven't won three
No,
rounds ever.
no, they've never won 3 rounds. Because when they won the playoffs, but that's what I mean. They've never won more than two. Like
Oh,
every every time that they won the Stanley Cup, it was
Yep.
only 2 rounds.
Yep.
And since then, they haven't. Like it's crazy, right? I mean, in that time, we've gotten to the conference finals once. We've gotten to the Stanley Cup finals once, or well, more than once. We've won a few Stanley Cups since they've done all of that stuff. But
Should have been a cup in 2014 if Chris Kreider wasn't a moron, but it's
yeah,
past us now.
here's a better question for this Frozen Forum Flash, Nathan. Is the Rangers' decline right now directly related to the karma that should have come from Chris Kreider sliding into Carey Price? Is it just catching up with them? Is this like the bad juju, you know?
Could be the downfall after they fork over 70 mil to a all-star goaltender, and I don't even know the salary of the rest of their team, but
Oh, it's
Chris Kreider
probably
getting
very high.
it's probably very high. Chris Kreider getting healthy scratched against. It doesn't even matter who it was against. It's Chris Kreider getting healthy scratched. What is going on at MSG?
Look, they need a new owner. I hate to say it, but this kind of stuff starts with ownership. I think it's Drury is the guy's name that owns the team. I mean, he fired Jeff Gorton, you know, that guy who's rebuilding the Habs in very, very, very nice fashion. And he's been a little bit pushy, making some other big moves and not really understanding how the whole hockey stuff has to come together. It sets a tone. I've got a lot of people telling me that what's his name up here in Toronto needs to go.
The coach, or you're talking about the owner?
No, the guy that's higher than the GM. What's his name? It's the Shena plan. Brendan Shanahan. You know how he's orchestrating everything in Toronto. I hear things from my sources that say that Shanahan at the top of the organization actually has very little respect for a lot of other people. And that shows within the organization. It sets a tone of culture within the organization. And that kind of has trickled down to the rest of the team. I wouldn't be surprised if that's what's driving it. Leadership starts from above, you know. People always like to blame the coaches as they're doing in Buffalo and Detroit. Starts with the guys at the top.
So what you're saying is basically a few of those hair plugs that Matthews got in Istanbul got loose, right? So that's why he's out for the past few games. Is that the leadership you're talking about? Because those hair plugs got loose, that's why he can't play anymore?
That's pretty funny. Look. Austin Matthews, I don't know about this guy. I think taking the captaincy away from John Tavares has just lit a flame under Tavares. He's been phenomenal, right? I mean, he's been my best player on my fantasy team, which, I mean, isn't really saying a lot because all of them are useless most of the time. But, like, he's 15th in our fantasy league in terms of points.
Wow. But he wasn't taken away from him. I thought he just gave it up.
Right. Just gave it up.
Okay, well that's what was said.
Right. Huh? Look, I mean, I think it's very hard to be the captain of a team in Canada in general. The amount of media that you have to face, the amount of accountability that falls onto your shoulders. I think it happened with Max Pacioretty. I think that's why a lot of his decline in the latter years of his stint in Montreal happened, right? I think he was just a guy who was consistently trying to take ownership for all of the bad things happening in the room, and that just weighed down on the rest of his play. I look at John Tavares as a guy who, however you want to say it, was removed, but the captaincy was removed from, but that weight is just lifted. You know, he can just get up, play normally, be natural, you know, and I think it's really just gone on. And I mean, he's got 18 goals on the season, 19 assists, you know, like last year he only had 29 goals on the whole season. Like he's on track for 40, right? So now on Austin Matthews' side, you've got a guy who's 68th in our, or even lower probably now in our fantasy league. I don't know how these guys compare in terms of real stats. I just know how it is in fantasy. But I mean, he was second overall last year in fantasy.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. We talked about the Laine and Matthews stat last week. Like Laine having 8 or 9 goals in like 10 games, and Matthews having 11 in 21, but that hasn't changed because he hasn't played, plain and simple. But what I will say is I'll give kudos to Nylander, Marner, and Tavares have all stepped it up significantly.
How much is Marner going to get paid this offseason, man?
Can they afford him? They can
A
afford
lot,
him.
right?
Should they pay him?
I mean, look, I'll say this. I'll take him. I'll pay him. I'll pay him 12.
To come to the Habs. So yeah, I agree with that. But should the Toronto Maple Leafs be paying 12?
I mean, I've been in the minority when I say this, and I know I'm in the minority. I've always said that the real problem is Matthews. I think, as much as it was cool to watch him try to get 70 last year, name me one time that Sidney Crosby cared if he won the Rocket, let alone like set new records in it, right? It just doesn't happen. Find me a year that Matthews has more than like 40 assists.
He's a me
Like,
player. He
you know,
plays.
you know what I mean? Like if you want to be a leader on a team, you should have more assists than you have goals. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
There's three forwards on a forward line, right? That means that like even if you're the best goal scorer, there are two people who can score more goals than you that come from you as assists, right? Like, and that's where I look at the Habs and putting Nick Suzuki as the captain of this team is one of the best decisions I think the team has had. Maybe not ever, but easily a very, very solid choice. I mean, look, Nick Suzuki is not slacking whatsoever. Second on the team in goals at 11, tied for first with Lane Hudson for assists with 24. Right?
That's what you want out
I
of a
mean,
leader. That's what you see like out of Sidney Crosby. Obviously, Sidney Crosby, but that's what a leader should be.
that's what you see out of Connor McDavid, right? Now, I'm not going to try to say that, Nick Suzuki is the next Connor McDavid or Sidney Crosby. As a side note, I will say Caden Gooley today looked very, 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 very similar to Connor McDavid. Like, I don't know, face structure. He's got like a little beard growing thing. If he grows it out a little farther, he's going to look almost identical. Nobody, like, other than the fact he's wearing a Habs jersey, you won't be able to distinguish. That's a side note there.
Okay.
But you get my point, right? Like, you need good leadership. And I think John Tavares is a good leader. I really do, right? I think everything points to the fact that he's a good leader. He puts the team on his back. He cares about, whatever. But you've always had this guy in Matthews who is so self-centered, right? Who could not care less about what happens with the team in general, just believes that he's God and should be treated as such on the team. I bet you Austin Matthews went to the team and said, look, you need to make me captain, otherwise I'm going to, like, throw a hissy fit or whatever they do when you're an NHL player. Like, I bet you that's what he did because he wants it, because he wants to be the god. You can't have that in a team. It's so bad. It's so, and I think to a certain extent, that's what happened with Brady Tkachuk for a while. I think you look at the Ottawa Senators the last 2 years. I think the difference is that Brady has been like turning more into that leadership figure, right? He's been growing into it, right? I don't think he was at the beginning. I think he's a lot closer now. And the Ottawa Senators are in a playoff, or were in a playoff spot. I guess the Pittsburgh Penguins won today, pushing them out.
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right. Like, these players are playing for themselves and not for the team, which you can't be doing. You absolutely can't be doing. And it's something we can talk about later that happened with Team Canada against Latvia.
Yo, go right now. I didn't watch this game. I'm sure you did.
Yeah. Okay. Every single player on Team Canada, we had those 55 shots. They were, I would say, about 50% of them were quality opportunities.
Did we actually have 55 shots?
Yes, we had 55 shots in regulation and then whatever shootouts. We were playing like a bunch of individuals. Every single player out there was looking to make some highlight reel goal, and you could have just made a simple pass and we would have had easier goals. So in that time, we only get 2 goals, whereas we take 2 stupid penalties. One of them shouldn't be a penalty, but honestly, at this point, we deserved it. And they capitalized on both of those. Mind you, their goalie also played like Carey Price. He was an actual brick wall the entire game. And then you get to a shootout, and at that point, it's pretty much a coin flip. Like, it's a shooter and a goalie. Anyone can score on a goalie, and they got it before we did. That's all it came down to. Team Canada played like a bunch of individuals. We lost Matthew Schaefer, who skated. It happens. It's a tough look. He skated straight into the net, collarbone straight into the net, broke his collarbone. He's out. He's a big player we need for the team. We are playing Germany right now. So we need that win. Then we play the States, I think, tomorrow.
Up 1-0 at the moment.
1-0.
Do you? Yeah, go.
We're up 1-0 right now. If this team doesn't get okay, we're playing Germany. If this team doesn't beat Germany by at least 2, we are not even making a medal game.
Hey, look. All I'll say, I put me down for the Canada World Juniors victory. Look, I look back. There was a game that Canada played. I think it was in the Olympics. I believe 20 Sochi. I could be wrong. Where we played a team like Latvia. I don't actually think it. Well, maybe it was Latvia. They had like Team Canada. Like this is like the real Team Canada, right? This is the Olympics Carey Price Team Canada. We won that game, but we won it 2-1. We had 50 something shots on this Latvian goaltender. I think this is just something that happens to a team sometimes, right? But I think these guys are young enough and adaptable enough that they will be able to come out of it and grow as a team from it and win for it, right? Now, I will say, this was completely avoidable. The player selection on this team
Yeah.
is bad.
Yep.
There is some, I don't know who it is. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm pretty sure what happened is you have some scouts from 1920 that joined the Team Canada World Juniors Selection Committee, or however else it's selected, and they said, "Hey, no, you need this to win hockey games. You need some kind of intangible that doesn't actually matter, right?" At the end of the day, you need the best players. Michael Misa is not there. Michael Haig is not there. Who else? I mean, the other. Carter Yakimchuk, as much as we're going to talk bad about him when he's actually playing in Ottawa, he's not there.
He's not there, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right about this young and adaptable positive mindset you're talking about, but they are young, so are they adaptable? They don't have the experience at world-class tournaments. Like, this is truly a world stage. And if we really can't get the job done convincingly against Germany tonight, I don't know. I thought that if we talked right after the Latvian game, I would have said yes. They will win the tournament because now the stokes a fire under them. But if we can't perform against Germany, a team who lost to USA 10-4, and now we're going up against Team USA, I don't know. For 2 games in a row, I mean,
hey, we beat Finland, right?
we did beat Finland. That was a tough team. We knew it was going to be a tough team.
Finland beats the US today.
Really? I did not know that. What was the score?
4-3 in overtime.
Oh, wow. Okay. So anything can happen, obviously. It's hockey. The most unpredictable sport in the world. I think statistically it is the most unpredictable sport in the world.
Most upsets easily.
Yeah.
Unless you're Kansas City, but yeah.
You pay the refs a little bit here and there, then it's always goes your way. Speaking of which, okay, we're switching over to football now. The Miami Dolphins have a chance. The Miami Dolphins won today. The Indianapolis Colts, which means they are now out, and the Broncos lost. If the Broncos and Bengals lose next week, and Miami wins, we're in.
We have is it just this week? That's
It's just
wow.
It's one more week. One more week. Miami needs to win. Broncos, Bengals need to lose, and we're in.
Well, we're ahead of the Bengals right now.
Maybe it's just the Broncos then.
I don't know what the.
I also don't fully understand it because I was reading online and it said all that needs to happen is Miami win, Broncos lose, and we're in. But then on TV today it was saying Broncos and Bengals. But I'm not sure which to believe exactly. We'll figure that out.
Well, I don't know what the tiebreaker is. Like, I think the tiebreaker is usually like head-to-head games.
That's what I think.
Yeah, but then there's a secondary one because I don't think we played Cincinnati this year.
Then it may be points. I don't know.
Like, and so I wonder if it'll come down to like
if it's points for and against, we're screwed because Cincinnati scored 1 million points every game this year.
Well, I think that's where like if the secondary is points, then Cincinnati has to lose next week so that we're not actually tied.
Yeah.
Right.
That would make sense.
Kind of crazy though. We have a chance. I mean, do we actually believe in them if they get there?
They need Tua back. They need Jalen Waddle back. If those both happen, yes.
What do you mean need? Tua not playing?
Tua didn't play today.
What do you mean he didn't play today?
We had Tyler Huntley play. Tyler Huntley also played really solid. But we had Tyler Huntley play today. Mind you, it was the
Wait, what
Cleveland
was
Browns.
Tua? What was Tua doing?
Tua, not his head, his hip. His hip hurts. What's going on?
Man, I'm telling you, this guy. Oh, all right, okay. So we got to win next week. Who are we playing next week? The Jets.
The
Okay,
Jets.
winnable.
It is definitely a
Winnable at
winnable game.
least.
The Broncos play the Chiefs. So that is a very losable game.
Well, it's a lock, bro.
No, KC has already locked up the 1 seed, and they've already announced that they are not playing any of their starters. So we're playing
Yeah,
it
but
like
but
they're
like,
playing the KC2 team, pretty much. It's
okay,
still KC.
but like, the refs still get paid off, right?
I don't think they need to get paid off because they stay where they are regardless if they win or lose.
Yeah, but I mean, hey, those refs are gonna kind of turn on you in the playoffs. You know, like
We'll see.
you gotta keep the people on the payroll. If you don't keep the people on the payroll, imagine if the company that you work for, you know, just fires you and then says, "Hey, wait, we need you again." You're gonna be like, "Okay, well, that's great. I mean, I've got a new job." Look at these beautiful, you know, Baltimore Ravens people. You know, I fell in love with what's his
Lamar
name right
Jackson.
there, Lamar Jackson, right? Like that's what the rest are gonna say. You know,
Okay. Yeah, that's it. That's a take
I
right
had
there.
I had yeah, anyways. But you know, so hey, it's one of those where if they win, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised thinking about it if KC just let Denver win just so that Dolphins don't get in the playoffs, so that there's no chance.
No, I mean, you ought to think of it like NFL, NHL, NBA, any sport that we're going to talk about here. These players that come out for these garbage games are going to play their heart out because they want to prove to the coaches that they can play. So,
That's true.
if the Kansas City 2 team can actually beat the Denver Broncos 1 team, who is actually really good this year, they might have a shot at the real roster. So they're going to still try.
The real question, if you're KC, who do you think has a better shot at knocking out Buffalo
Who has the best shot?
out of the two? Denver or Miami?
I think Miami.
Of course, you think Miami, but like, what does KC think?
Denver, or probably have the Bills play Denver because I went to the Dolphins Bills game this year and they won on a lucky Tyler Bass field goal from 60 yards when he missed an extra point. So they won by a field goal. I would
So
be
yeah,
more scared of Miami.
maybe you want Miami then in,
Yeah,
because
I would
KC
love.
knows how to beat them.
They do know how to beat them. Miami's a very beatable team, unfortunately.
Yeah, just a lot of issues.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of stuff up here with our key player.
Or yeah,
Lack thereof, yeah.
lack of stuff up there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Okay, getting back into
Let's
the
get back to hockey. What else have you been following around the NHL, Nathan?
Man, I mean, there were a whole bunch of hat tricks the other night. I mean, I think we had Mitch Marner hattie. There was also a random, was it like Brian Rust hat trick? There's been a whole lot of hat tricks recently. I feel like more than usual. That's over the past week. I've noticed that maybe it's just a Christmas gift from the hockey gods down to all the hockey players. I don't
Yep.
know. Yeah.
You know, we were talking about last week how media for some teams have gotten really good. We'll take this back over to X, and the New Jersey Devils posted something for the rest of the teams in the NHL. I don't know if you saw this. They posted a little present, I guess, for the other teams, and so they posted the cards that they sent to these teams. Right? So, you know, they said to the Canucks from the Devils. You know, you've got the picture of the two Hughes brothers. Fine, okay, whatever. And then the next one, little card to the Hurricanes saying, "Here's a little something to upgrade your black and red wardrobe." And oh, look, it's Eric Holla, Stefan Noessen, Brett Pesce, and Hamilton. Ah, 4 players that used to play for the Carolina Hurricanes, now doing great things with the New Jersey Devils. Look, they sent a card to the Islanders with some fishing gear.
That's good. That's good. They should probably send a golf postcard to someone too. Maybe a few of
Yeah,
those.
and the best one, I think, out of all of them, they sent to the Penguins a half completed Lego thing of the Pittsburgh Penguins logo, right? And the caption to that was, got you some building blocks, but looks like there's a few pieces missing.
That's good. That is good. Yo,
Also,
New Jersey's been on it the past 2 weeks. First with the Jack Hughes draft thing, and now this. That's good.
on it, they also sent, I will say, to the Rangers box, and it said, pretty sure it's a lump of goals, which actually the Rangers would accept if it was a real gift.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think the other NHL teams have to get on it. The NFL and NBA have been doing it right. We only have the Devils so far. I want to see the rest of the NHL teams do this. It's been garnering so much more attention. It's been growing the brands. Probably not Signet. Like, it's been growing the brands. So we got to keep up with it. It's what's trending right now. Hey,
It's what you got to do,
some kind of content guy to monitor what type of advertising does really well, Nathan DaCosta, Alex Nagy,
Please
you can find
contact
us on
the
LinkedIn.
Frozen.
Yes.
Please follow the Frozen Forum podcast. Message us on our official platforms for those who are looking for, actually specifically to the Montreal Canadiens. Nathan, more specifically, I don't know if I have the actual skills required. Nathan has the skills to get some pretty good content going on the media side.
Habs team, contact me. Any media content, any honestly data related stuff too. You know, we have this podcast. We follow the Habs every week. I work in the data industry. I've got you. Just give me an interview.
He'll sell himself. Don't worry. Look around the rest of the NHL. We really see a trend, eh? These Eastern Conference teams, very, very close, right? Last team in the Eastern Conference right now is the Buffalo Sabres. And again, they're 7 points out of a playoff spot, right? The difference between East and West this year, I think, has not ever been greater. You look at the West, the last place in the league right now, Chicago Blackhawks, 26 points. They're a full 15 points away from the playoffs. But like, it's not just them, right? It's like the last 4 teams in the NHL, or the last 3 actually, I guess, because Anaheim's tied. Nashville, San Jose, and Chicago. Now, San Jose and Chicago were predictable. Nashville
fell off a cliff hard and fast.
They didn't get a cliff. They didn't fall. They just started. Like,
that's true.
They were never on the cliff. These guys.
They were like on a pedestal. They were on an elevator and then it just collapsed.
I mean, they thought they'd made all of the right moves, and looking longer term, maybe they did. But at the end of the day, like, I look at the Nashville Predators and go, this is why it's dangerous to sign older guys to contracts. Right? Is like, you don't know if Steven Stamkos is going to fit into your roster. You know, you don't know if Jonathan Marchessault is actually that good of a player when not surrounded by Jack Eichel and Mark Stone. Right? Hasn't worked out.
Not worked out. I think Marchessault's their leading scorer, but yeah, I agree. Has not worked out.
That's where I look at Detroit too as well, right? Like, Detroit, 5th last in the NHL right now, right? 3 points back of the Montreal Canadiens, by the way. Same number of games played too, so it's not even like a, you know. But Detroit, I mean, they signed Sherratt, who we could have told you shouldn't have signed, but that's fine. They traded for Jeff Petrie, right, after that whole thing didn't work out in Pittsburgh. Again, could have told you that wasn't going to work out very well. Now, look, I actually really like Jeff Petrie. I think he brings a lot of good intangibles. Stats don't back it up.
No, I agree. And of course, the one game we played against him earlier this year, he gets a goal on us.
Yeah, we still win that game, 5?
We do win that game.
But again, I look at so many of these teams and you know, they're rebuilding, and to a certain extent, maybe not Nashville, but like Buffalo, Detroit, Anaheim, they bring in players on longer term contracts that are UFAs, 28 years old, 29 years old, 30 years old. And I mean, the peak of your NHL career is going to be in that time frame, right? Like, your peak should be 27 to like 32, 33 maybe for the really good ones. Right? But you get all of these players, and I mean, for Detroit, they were still rebuilding the last 2 years. And now you've got players who are on the last few years of their deals, and now they're 31, 32, and they're coming back down the slope, right? They're not as good as they were. And now you're trying to compete for a playoff spot, but these guys are falling off a cliff. I think it continually happens with the Dallas Stars as well. They're 15th in the league, eh?
Really? Wow. I did not know that. I thought they were... For some reason, I thought they were like 6th or something. Maybe that was a few weeks ago, but I haven't really been keeping up with them.
I just saw that, and that's why I made a comment about it, because
okay,
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
But that's where I go. I don't think you need to sign Jake Evans. I'm still on this side. Like, look, to me, he's just upping his trade value, right? And all this is doing is now instead of a first round pick, now it's a first round pick plus a prospect, right? I don't know if you can actually get that for him, but we'll see. He's the kind of guy with every intangible every team wants, right? He's been there. He's been in the Stanley Cup final, when we went there in 2020 or 2021, I guess. But more importantly, plays on the penalty kill. Super, super, super hard working player on a fourth line. Can play with virtually anybody, right? We played him as a second line center at one point this year. He scores goals. Now, don't get me wrong. This guy is scoring right now. He's shooting at like a 29% shooting percentage. Like that's not sustainable. But as much as I say that,
we're halfway through this.
I don't remember the last game that he hasn't got on a 2-on-1.
Yeah.
Like while we're like either shorthanded or not shorthanded.
And we're like damn near halfway through the season.
We are. What is he for goals for us? He's fourth in points. Third in goals. Tied for third in goals.
Wow. Yeah, Jake Evans, it's so tough because we don't want to get rid of him if he could be like a Lehkonen type guy, but I understand your thought process from last week of wanting Suzuki to be that eldest leader on the team type guy.
More than that, I think everything he brings is replaceable, right? And you have prospects coming up in the system that you have to make room for at some point. You can't keep Owen Beck in the minors forever. Like Owen Beck, to be completely honest, is in the exact same position Jake Evans was 4 years ago. Like basically the same player. Now, I think Owen Beck has a lot more upside. People like to look at Owen Beck and say, yeah, whatever. Look, he was on a Team Canada World Juniors team 3 years in a row. First, as a really good player. Second, coming in more as a leadership role. Third, is like the captain or assistant captain of the team. Right? That's the kind of player that you want in the dressing room. So you can't keep him in Laval. You need a spot for Joshua Watt at some point, right? You need a spot for Demidov when he comes up. You need a spot for Haig when he comes up. Like Haig is a center. And I'm looking at our two lines right now. That Caulfield-Suzuki Slavkovsky line has been playing really good hockey. As a side note, my shout out on the 3 stars of the week goes out to Cole Caulfield.
Okay.
This guy has been insane. Okay.
Yep,
he has been stick handling the puck around people. He has been making plays. He's been going into corners. That's what we love to see. That's what he does. But that line's been really, really, really good. 5-on-5. They don't have a lot to show for it, to be completely honest. But that's okay. Slavkovsky has 5 points in his last 6 games. Cole Caulfield scores his 18th yesterday. First goal since December 9th, right? But you look at the second line too now, Patrick Laine. I hope we can extend him in this offseason, right? I think he fits perfectly in line with all of the plans we're trying to make.
And he seems to love it. Every interview I've seen him in, he loves Montreal.
Loves the city, man. Loves. And you know what? You think you've seen Patrick Laine. This guy has played, 13 games? Wait until he's played 40. Wait until he's played 50.
He's just warming up. He was playing Fortnite for a little bit too long while that leg was healing, and now he's finally getting back in the mojo, baby.
He is. He's stick handling around people, like the stuff he was doing in today's game. Is great. But this is what I mean. I love that second line. Kirby Dach is just going to get better as he becomes less injured. Like again, he was injured all of last year, basically the whole season before that. Right? Alex Newhook, is one of the fastest guys I've ever seen skate. Like this is the guy. If they would finally implement what I want them to implement in the NHL, which is a skills competition, but actually for the best players at those skills, I want each team to have a fastest skater competition, and the top 6 or 8 across the league times, I want them to send those to the All-Star skills competition. Alex Newhook would be one of those 6, one of those 8. This guy's fast, right?
What do you incentivize? You incentivize him with money?
Yeah, put up $100,000 if you win one of these competitions.
Okay. Here's where I think that could be a problem. The NBA has been trying to do that for the past 4 years. They have been doing these things like the in-season like this in-season tournament BS. Their All-Star games, they now get paid heavy sums of money, and they've been getting a crap ton of backlash. And honestly, I think NBA viewership has declined. A lot of fans aren't happy with the
NHL,
NBA.
the NHL
NHL
All-Star
viewership
game
is
last year.
increasing.
No, but the NHL All-Star game last year had better coverage, and the hockey was really good. Like it might not have been good in the first two games. The way they run it is, you have two semifinal matches and then a finals. The finals game was a good game. It was a fun game to watch in terms of All-Star quality. I just look at it. Look, I think for the players, just in general, if you could say, you are definitively the fastest player in the league, I think that's like a very, very cool thing to say. I think hockey players think like that, They'd be like proud to be, oh, I've got the hardest shot in the league, whatever, right? It's just when you send only the top players from the teams. Look, I think Connor McDavid is very fast. I think Dylan Larkin is very fast. Do I think that there is a fourth line player out there somewhere who could be faster? Yeah. Because, he's not ever tried it, right? You're Alex Newhook on a second line Montreal Canadiens. He's not going to the All-Star game anytime soon. Obviously not this year or next year because we've got the Four Nations face-off and then the Winter Olympics in 2026. We should see if we can get out to Italy for that. But again, you're not going to see Alex Newhook in either of those two things. But I think it'd be pretty cool to see how he stacks up against Connor McDavid, just in terms of skating skill.
We think it's pretty cool, but I don't think everyone cares about Alex Newhook. But I do agree that there should be some type of format to actually get the best of the best.
Well, this is where I look at the hardest shot as well, right? Is like
you could have a guy like Evan Bouchard, who's probably not making the All-Star game. He has a wicked shot. He has a filthy shot from the point.
But more than that, right? Hardest shot doesn't necessarily mean most accurate shot. Who knows? Maybe David Savard has the hardest shot in the league. I don't know. I'm just throwing a name out there, right? Shea Weber, was the best player on his team for a long time. So was Zdeno Chara. That's why those two players went to the All-Star game and set really, really high numbers on the hardest shot. But I think there are still other players in the league, who have a very hard shot. It's just maybe not as effective. But I think it'd be really cool to say, hey, this guy has a 113 mile an hour slap shot.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. But this year we do actually get a proper All-Star game, which is the Four Nation face-off, which I think is one of the best things for hockey that we've seen since what was it called? The World Cup of Hockey? Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think they did a World Cup at one point, right? That was the one they had the Team North America, right?
Yeah.
I look at this tournament, though. I think it'll be good. Obviously, love to see whatever. You don't have a Russia because of all the stuff going on in Russia. It's understandable. It's unfortunate, especially in a year that Alex Ovechkin is doing what he's doing. I think it's also unfortunate that you don't have a Team Europe.
Because it would better represent all the talent from there.
No, well, it's not even that. It's just like, look, Finland and Sweden are the two powerhouses in Europe, right? They have been for a long time. Leon Draisaitl is from Germany, right? You've got, who's the other ones? Roman Josi from Switzerland, right? I know of others. I remember looking at this team. Like, so somebody put together a thing if it was Team Europe, what it would look like. And it was like, man, this team is stacked. Like, this team is good, Think of the players from Czechia, right? From Slovakia. From maybe not Slovakia. I guess Slavkovsky's not up there quite yet. But yeah, I think that's what they're missing. I think it'll be good, though. I mean, that's what the Olympics are for. Hopefully this whole Russia thing is over by 2026, and then we can have a real Russia. Actually, I don't even know. Maybe they're still banned. I don't remember from the Olympics.
No, some of their athletes are banned. Well, yeah, Russia as a country is banned. The Russian athletes that do want to compete in the Olympics have to enter as like an IOC alternates where they're just representing the Olympics, but like they're a Russian athlete because they have to get like specially drug tested from, that whole deal.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I forgot that happened.
Yeah, exactly. The doping scandal.
Yeah, but no, that's all I have to say about international hockey.
Yeah, okay.
Anything else you want to talk about, Nathan, before we end this podcast?
Not really, to be honest. I do got to get going soon, so it was
perfect.
Pretty good there, yeah.
We'll end it here. You want to take us out?
You got it.
Okay, so thank you, everybody. It has been a great 4 months. This will be coming out January 1st or 2nd. I don't remember what day is the Thursday.
January 2nd.
January 2nd. So happy New Year to everybody. Welcome to 2025. We hope if you stayed this long that you have started your new year off on a great note with remembering the fact that the Montreal Canadiens won these 2 games. Hopefully, we beat Vegas on the 31st, and then we'll have even more good things to say in Nathan's first week in France. Until then, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, in order to show your support to us, subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that bell notification if you're watching there. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it, TikTok, Facebook. Leave those 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Comment on any of those podcasting platforms, because you can do that too, apparently. And drop a follow on those podcasting platforms as well. Wherever you get your podcasts, that's where we are. And so with that, we thank you for watching. Happy New Year. And
Au revoir, et bonsoir, et bon New Year.